of Today with Pastor Jay, and I have a very special guest. We're going to call him Greg. I guess we can call him Bob. We could call him anything. Doesn't matter. But he's a very special guest. So we're going to go live in just a moment. He's from Canada. Oh, Canada. That's look what I got. I got your national anthem. You ready for that, Greg?
Oh, go for it.
Mark, you want to go ahead and play it? Let me see how it starts. Huh? This is just the instrumental? Oh, I need some words.
Just go to a hockey, you're fine.
Ah. Okay. All right. So let's like a couple of seconds before that, so I'm gonna do this as my intro
Okay.
because that's what we're gonna be talking about, I think. Okay. I want to make sure I get to my intro. Really isn't that long, so I don't know if we can play it from the top. Yeah, let me. Yeah, can we do the regular show into that? Let's see. Okay, let's try that. Hold on just one moment. Should I use the office phone to set up the account? I'll need that number. My options are email or phone. Let me call this person real quick. I'm so sorry. Hey guys. Oh, I forgot I was live, right? Oh my god. This is what happens, Greg. Seriously. My life is just this something else. Hey, recording at the radio station, and I did not understand what your text meant. Are you good for a good 30 minutes? And then I can call you after. Okay, I didn't understand the phone number and all that stuff. I didn't know what that meant. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, just call yourself from the office number on your cell phone, and then that'll give you the office number. Yeah, that's why I get paid the big bucks. Okay, all right. All right, bye. Did y'all hear that conversation? That was funny. All right, guys. So this is going to be great. You ready?
Got
Okay.
it. Got it.
You are now tuned in to Today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio, where we discuss inspiring and informative news. And now here's your host, Pastor Jerlyn Denny.
Oh, this is going to be a show beyond shows, guys. You gotta listen in. I have a phenomenal guest from, guess where? Canada. That's right. My guest, Greg, is a conservative. He's from Canada, and I want to know what's going on because everyone's talking about the United States. Oh, I don't like America. I'm ready to leave. Well, you know what? Go ahead and beam yourself to Canada. We're gonna talk about it. And Greg is here. He lives it. He breathes it. He raises a family there. And we just want to know. So, Greg, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Greg?
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm on a delay,
California. I was in California a few months back. Yeah, we met a few months back when I was in Anaheim, and we were just chatting. And Greg was like, yeah, I'm from Canada, and I got to talking to him about some of the differences. So, Greg, tell me, how long you born and raised in Canada?
Born and raised in Canada, so I'm 55. Two daughters, 20 and 17. My wife works, corporate executive. And we live I find Americans don't know geography that well for Canada, but we live in Alberta, which is the second most western province, and it's compared most to Florida and Texas, which is not a bad comparison.
So you come back and forth to America. Right now, you're in America. You come back and forth here. So I'm going to say you're going to be our expert this morning. You all right with that?
Okay. I'll try.
I don't know anything about Canada other than what you hear on the news. And of course, your prime minister have been making the news a lot. What is it like in comparison to living in Canada and living in the United States? I told you yesterday, I believe Americans are taking a lot of things for granted.
I 100% agree. It's Canada, in my opinion, and I've been where I come from, Alberta. We're a conservative province, so we are very much like a Republican uh, type province. So Texas is a good example. Quite frankly, we have a lot of oil where we are. All of Canada's oil is basically in our province. We are a cautionary tale, quite frankly. Um, our government is the left as Democrats could possibly get. And just like Biden, they've encroached on the oil and gas industry. They pretty much anything here that we're worried about, Canada's already done it.
So when you say everything that we're concerned about here, Canada has done it. Everything.
Yeah. Like our prime minister basically curtailed our oil and gas industry. We no longer produce. We just maintain our normal production. We don't have any growth prospects. Similar to here, they've it's impossible to get a pipeline built in Canada. So even that XL pipeline that Biden canceled, those types of things happen all the time. Also, it's just heavily taxed, very socialized, very centralized, and I think, like I said, a cautionary tale. Pretty astute in U.S. politics, and you really have to start fighting for your constitutional rights down here.
So when you say heavily taxed, you and your wife both are executives. You making decent money, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
So give me kind of like an idea of how much money is taken when you say
Okay.
heavily taxed.
I just took a look today. Our combined household income probably runs 450. We're paying easily 35% of that in income tax and provincial tax.
Oh, whoa. So y'all make
That's a
around
lot.
$450,000 a year combined, and you're paying, you said about 30%?
33 to 35%.
33 to 35%. So a Canadian, is it the more you make, the more you're taxed? Or
Yes.
oh, wow.
Our top tax rate is 218,000, and then anything above that you pay 35%.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's the same ratios as here. If you're under $50,000 Canada in taxable income, only about 10% of the people pay tax on that. So it is very similar ratio. People who make over 100,000 a year pay 55% of all income tax. So the ratios are the same, but I think the ratios of tax paid is a lot Canada than here for similar brackets.
It is absolutely crazy. And of course, they're trying to raise it and do some crazy stuff here. So when you look at America and you see what's going on with the Biden administration, and you look at what happened with the Keystone Pipeline, you see things, um, you know, everything with immigration and, the borders being open. And I mean, what are you thinking at this point as a Canadian when you look at America? I would think if I was a Canadian and all the stuff that you're telling me about Canada, when I came to America, I would go, oh, this is like my vacation spot. Now it's going to almost be like it's home if we start adopting some of the things that Canada is doing.
Right now, I would rather be a refugee here than anywhere, quite frankly. I called myself the Canadian refugee at the conference I'm at this week, and it's not been funny because people really want to know, and they've heard so much about Trudeau as well. But it's tricky. I don't know what you do. I'll be honest. In Canada, there's a big bastion of people who are pro-Trump. We really wanted a similar situation in Canada. No one can do it. But when Trump was in office here, everything was good for everybody, quite frankly.
Canada.
Yep, we felt it in Canada. We felt positive. We felt the same way as anyone who voted for Trump down here would have. Now it's literally, almost a secret. If you were even, I can't even vote for Trump, but even if you were pro-Trump, it's almost a secret. I don't know if it's like that down here, but certainly in Canada, you do not say that out loud.
Let's talk about the trucker incidents and Trudeau and his response. That was wild. What was playing out on the news here? How was it really playing out in Canada?
Oh yeah, and our news is kind of bought and paid for as well, just like down here. So the trucker convoy started in Alberta. There's a portion of the population, I'd say maybe 15% or more, that actually don't have any vaccinations at all. They chose not to. I'm fine with that. But the problem is, if you don't have the vaccinations, you can't even get on a plane, a train, or a bus. So you literally cannot leave your country, and that is a major issue as far as I think that generally most Canadians feel. You should be able to get on a plane and go. What if there's been numerous stories of people whose family have died.
Train, like you said, you can't go to a bus. If you wanted to take a bus to a neighboring city, even within Canada, if you aren't vaccinated, you can't even do that. Pretty much you have to drive yourself everywhere.
Right. You couldn't take a plane from, say, Montreal to Toronto, which is an hour flight. You can't do that, even if it's a domestic flight. So really that's, and if you're a trucker crossing borders, that kind of thing, that's an issue. So really that was the issue initially, as far as just we want to go to Ottawa. We want to get Trudeau to really look at this. It is impacting the economy, whether they say so or not. And there's a bulk of people who just didn't want to get their shots done, and good for them, in my opinion. But what he kind of ran away from it, which is not uncommon. And two, the media just really started swarming in, and they do that here too. Everyone suddenly was a white nationalist, and they were as far as saying insurrection up there as well. I don't know if you saw any pictures or anything on the media, but this was maybe a 2-week.
I saw people being pulled out of trucks.
Yeah. But for 2 weeks they were having hot tub parties. They were building cook kitchens for the poor. They took over the town. They took over the city of Ottawa and just turned it into kind of a party. And if you weren't on the invite list, so if you were a real leftist, you were aghast the whole thing. All of us from out west, where we're more conservative, we were just laughing at this thing, going, "This is great." It wasn't getting the press that it should have got, and like I said, of course, everything automatically goes negative. And they literally were freezing your bank accounts. If you donated to GoFundMe, the banks were freezing your bank accounts at the Prime Minister's request. So it's unbelievable, and that's where all this dictator stuff came from. Like, I know Tucker Carlson did a thing on it.
He is a dictator, and we're going to talk about that. We got to take a break. Yeah. Don't go anywhere, Greg. We got to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about this new handgun thing he got going on. I don't know what Canada is trying to do. And I want to talk about your healthcare system. Now, how easy is it to get healthcare? Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Today with Pastor Jay. All right, Greg, we're going to go back in, and I'm going to start out with his plan to ban handgun sales when we go back in, and then we'll lead that into healthcare. I really want to get into the healthcare, and if you could share your story. You was telling me about one of your family members that couldn't get a surgery.
Right. Delayed.
So we'll do the handgun stuff, and then we'll lead into the personal stories about the healthcare, because everybody think the healthcare system, we need socialized healthcare.
No, you don't.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I get that in. All right.
Sure.
We're ready. I want to do "Oh Canada" or wherever we are in that as my intro back into music. Okay, thank you. Wherever you put it, doesn't matter. Welcome back to Today with Pastor Jay, and my special guest is Greg, and yep, you guessed it, he's from Canada, and woo! He said he is a Canadian refugee. He'd rather be here in America than be in Canada. But at the same time, he's noting how some of the things that the Biden administration and the left and the liberals are doing here in America, how he's starting to recognize it, because that's the kind of stuff he has back at home. And he's going, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But let's talk about handguns, because, every time there's a mass shooting, and we've had several, just had one yesterday, and it's unfortunate. All these mass shootings that are happening, there's always the talk of gun control. And Canada, what are y'all doing? Your prime minister, again, he's starting to ban handgun sales and possession of assault weapons. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I guess you have to do with a differentiation on a couple of things first. We actually don't have a constitutional right to own firearms. There's nothing in the Bill of Rights. So, you know,
Have a constitutional right for anything, pretty much. They do what they want to do in Canada.
you have rights that doesn't even allow us to technically own property. So it's different than yours, which I like.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to get a gun license in Canada. You have to take classes, and I'm much against our licensing procedure. Just lead into this real quick, so you know the gun thing. You know, we have to take classes. We have to be licensed, which means the government actually does access your make sure you're not on high amount of drugs, medical thing. They do want to check the mental status, but one of the key things that we do put on there, which again I'm not against, is to your spouse or any ex-spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend over the last 2 years, and that is and they do call it. So they call and say, you know, if Greg has a firearms license, are you concerned for your safety? If anything remotely comes out, yes, they will rescind your license or not give you
ex-boyfriend or ex-husband or someone like that just have an ought against me, that just don't like me.
Yeah,
the Canadian government calls him and go, hey, do you think we should give Pastor Jay a gun? And he goes, no, I'm afraid for my safety. No.
It could get to that, but you know, I don't have. There's no huge issue in Canada that happens, although technically it could.
Now, I've been hearing that there's a proposal to complete freeze on gun ownership.
That's right. So that's the next step. So last year they did put a ban on AR-15s, those types of rifles. Now in Canada, we're only semi-automatic. All our mags are clipped to 10 rounds. That's it. So there's not, you know, it's not a owner. To me, it's not a dangerous situation. But they did ban those. So I actually have an AR-15 in my safe that's useless. I can't even take it to the range. And just this week, Trudeau put through a ban on handguns, or at least the sale and transfer of handguns. Apparently, this comes into play next year. I don't know how that's going to work. It's insane.
You're supposed to turn them over to the government.
Well, no, we're allowed to keep it grandfathered. But my daughter, for example, into to be a police officer, she wants to train with handguns, and she's saying, "Well, wow, what guns do we buy now?" This future span on future sales and transfers go. I literally was at the restaurant the other day when I found out, and I bought a Glock online because she probably wouldn't be able to get it in time. So that's how it's getting.
So it's just getting banned and everything you turn around, anything they can think of. Now, have you had tons of mass shootings in Canada compared to the United States? Do you know?
No, we've had maybe 2 or 3. We had a big one a couple of years ago.
Then.
Sorry. Oh, I agree because of what's happening down here. Trudeau tries to hyper extend legal procedures based on what he sees here. They just pure scare tactics. There hasn't been there's shooting maybe 3 or 4 years ago under weird circumstances, almost like the Las Vegas shooting you had, where no one really has any answers. That's it. In recent memory.
Let's talk about your healthcare system. I mean, everyone's talking about let's go to socialized healthcare. We need socialized healthcare. Universal healthcare, everybody. Come on, let's get all this together. What do you think? Because you live it, right? What do you call your healthcare system? I mean, you're taxed 35% of your salary, so you got that.
Yeah. It's terrible. It won't work down here. I will say that it doesn't work where I'm from either. There's not enough professionals. You technically, as any medical person, so even a doctor, a surgeon, a specialist, you are a government employee. I don't think that's going to fly down here. But the problem is there's just not enough.
I've seen some stuff that we didn't think fly, but it's been flying. So there's that. I don't know.
Yeah. It's up in Canada. There's hardly any hospitals being built. There's not enough doctors to actually fill them. There's not enough nursing staff to fill them. Our bureaucracy is what takes all the money, as any government agency does, and it's just full of bureaucrats. No doctors, no nurses. So what happens is there's almost forced quotas on surgeries, specific kinds. For example, my parents have each had to have back surgery over the last few years. The first time when my mother was 77, she had to wait 2 years to get back surgery. Two
Years to get back surgery?
2 years. So what they do is they full of opiates for 2 years to deal with the pain, and then finally you get your surgery. My father's just going in for another lower back surgery. It took him a month and a half to an MRI, and another
Common.
week or two.
It takes a little bit to get an MRI sometimes around here, unless it's an emergency. You can get it right then.
And then, yeah, you can go pay for it down here, though, right? You can go get one on your own if you want to.
True.
It's
You can't do that in Canada.
You can, but it's looked down on. And my parents, being their age, are horrified if they went and did it on their own. The doctor would find out and bump their surgery out because he wasn't making money on it or something. So it's really bizarre, but it does take an extended period of time to get anything done. Even cancer, any surgery can take, you're looking at months to get the type of help you need. It's terrible. Now, I do have one quick example, if that's okay. My wife and I were in Hawaii probably 20 years ago, and my wife suffered from a miscarriage while we were right in Honolulu. And we didn't know what to do. We were horrified about the whole thing. Went to a doctor. We found one in the Yellow Pages and went to Pearl City. Took the bus out there, and everything was in that office. They did all the MRIs. They did everything they needed to do. I was horrified of the cost. I didn't know because rumors about US. We got the best level of care I've ever seen for that type of situation at a very reasonable cost. It was significantly less than I thought. But we even followed up over the course of our holiday to make sure she was okay, which I thought was spectacular. If you go forward in the future a year, my wife had another miscarriage in Canada, and all she really got was treatment in a hallway on a gurney for 24 hours, and no one cared at all. So that's what happens, in my opinion. That's the big difference, is the level of care for the person, not necessarily the ailment. But we thought the treatment in Hawaii was spectacular, and I'll see that in Canada.
I want to just tell you that my heart goes out to you and your wife for having to suffer those losses, and it's unfortunate that when you're going through that, the last thing that you want to be concerned and worried about is the treatment that you're going to get. And unfortunately, you were able to see both sides of the coin. We've got to take another break. Don't go anywhere.
Yep.
Don't touch that dial. I have left. Okay. So, Greg,
Yep.
anything that you can think of that you want to share. So I may ask you I don't know if there's any warning signs, or how do we hold on to
Okay.
conservative America, and why is it so important? I mean, what make you conservative in your mind, and what is it that's going on that have you being cautious, or I don't want to use the word afraid, but fearful of what may come?
Sure.
Actually, I mean, you pretty much you have a dictator, in my opinion.
The best way around it for the U.S. is
Okay, hold on.
that we don't have.
Let me get back on so we're recording, so you can have your response ready. Okay. I want to give a thank you and a shout out to Steve Verrier for sponsoring this show, thefloridamortgagecenter.com. Thank you for sponsoring this show. And then you didn't have to give 35% of your salary to do it. We're speaking with Canadian Greg. That's your new name, Canadian Greg. And he is conservative. I mean, how do you do that? And when you look at America flying back and forth between Canada and America, and you've been doing that for several years. You raised a family there. They're taking all, I mean, you're heavily taxed. Your health care isn't where it needs to be. And every time you turn around, your prime minister absolutely is a dictator. He's calling some emergency something, doing whatever he wants to do. What kind of warnings do you have for those here in America or concerns?
Well, it's not even a concern. In fact, it's something that is positive that we don't have. That's what I find is interim interim elections down here. In Canada, we do not have that. We are stuck with this guy 4 years. There's no way around it. We don't have, party-based voting in municipalities or that kind of thing. Here in the midterms is where Americans can really change things. Every 2 years, you have a chance to kind of roll over someone like Biden. Do it. That's the thing. Seriously, get out and vote. That is the most important thing I can possibly come up with. Try to come up with a good, come up with the candidates that are going to do the best for you and defend your rights. We don't have that. We're in Canada, the way our population is, and don't let this happen here, because the electoral college is a massive thing down here that I wish we had in Canada. Where I live out west, on an election, by the time Quebec is voted and Ontario is voted, every single one of our votes doesn't need to be counted beyond that. That's the center of population.
That's just something else. That's something else. So we need people to vote, especially the primary election here are coming up. We've got to make sure that we vote for the right congressmen, vote for the right senators, and of course here in Florida, make sure we vote for the correct governor. We do not want to lose Governor DeSantis at all. What do you think about our governor?
I think he's awesome. I think he's great. Definitely. We had a great prime minister. His name was Stephen Harper. We had him for a good 10 years. He was spectacular. He was DeSantis-like. We haven't seen anything like that since. But yes, DeSantis, like I said, I think everyone's saying, he might run for president, that type of thing. He would be great. Definitely. This is the best state as I'm concerned politically.
I appreciate that. And thank you so much for spending time with me. I don't even know if I want to visit. So do I have to be vaccinated to come to Canada?
You do.
I'm not visiting Canada then.
Well, right now you do.
Oh, I got a phone call the other day because I have a doctor's appointment, and the lady asked me, "Have you been vaccinated?" And my response to her was, "Have you had chlamydia?" She said, "It's not in your file." I said, "It's none of your business."
Yeah, I know.
It's none of your business. Thank you so much for sharing with me and letting us know, because I think Americans forget how good they had it. Look, I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-mandate. And when I see a lot of the mandates and the laws and stuff that's happening there in Canada and all this, it shakes me a little bit, because I can see some of that trying to infiltrate, trying to happen here in America.
I agree.
Yeah.
Get out and vote.
Vote.
Keep your rights. Keep your constitution. I wish
You're
we had
right.
one.
I can't believe you don't have the right to own land. That's just crazy.
Yep, that's eminent domain is next, as far as I'm concerned. So.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you. You had another thought?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so very much. You know what I say, guys? Whew. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not promised. What are you going to do today? Today, you are going to make sure you are registered to vote, and you're going to make sure that you vote in this primary election that's coming up in August, and make sure you get in there for these midterms. We got to ensure that our values stay and need to make sure that we preserve our constitutional rights. All right, guys, have a wonderful and blessed day. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you. Good show.
Okay.
I've got somebody
Great.
waiting on me. My phone is ringing. We'll touch bases, and I'll have you back another time. Maybe
That sounds great.
when you come to Florida, I can get you in the studio. That'd be
Oh,
awesome. And
that'll be
I've got a couple of other people. I'm going to see if I can get you on their show, and they'll go a little bit more in depth politically with you. I try not to have too much of a political show, but every now and then we'll touch on it. All right. Thanks, Greg.
Great.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.